Hey there, what's going on everybody? It's Star. So let's talk about our favorite gay space rock show, Steven Universe. I absolutely love this show. It was my childhood favorite and it was a big inspiration for me as a kid. I love the plot, I love the music, I love the character designs, and I was at the edge of my seat for the last 2 to 3 seasons of this show, just watching it and adoring it, and I was just very much in love with it. But there was a lot of discourse within the fandom regarding the LGBTQ themes, the character designs, and the personalities of some of the characters, which of course you would. And of course there's going to be some fandom drama because if you accumulate a large following for your show, then there's going to be some sort of stupid stuff going on. I was never really involved in that. I try to avoid stuff like that whenever I actually do like a show to a certain degree. But today, I thought it would be really fun for me to touch on some redesigns for the 3 main gems, or the crystal gems, that we follow in the show. I don't have any major problems with the designs, especially since I know that they usually try to go an animator-friendly route because they have to pump out episodes in a certain amount of time. But I wanted to talk about some flair that I wish they explored with some of their designs and just do something really fun with these characters because they've been popping up on my feed again lately and I've just been wanting to redesign them for a long time. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first one we're going to do here is Pearl, and she was my favorite character in the show and I had a lot of fun designing this one. I had several ideas already on the back burner for her. So I made a couple of little boards to help me with some design choices, so I'm going to throw it up on the screen here. And basically I wanted to focus on a sort of angel type of theme and kind of be super ethereal with how I wanted to, showcase her design. I wanted, first of all, I wanted to do 2 designs for her. I wanted to do the design before she got into the crystal gems and then basically after, like the current design that we're going to see her in the show. And I was going off of some of the ideas that I had as well as some of her original designs. And for her first design, for when she was still like a pearl and she was still serving a diamond, I wanted as many cumbersome things going on with her as possible. I wanted her to kind of have a sort of vibe that gives off, oh, you're just here to like be pretty and to like dance and stuff like that. So there's nothing practical going on. There's a bunch of cumbersome little ribbons and a lot of silk and stuff like that. So it makes it very difficult for her to do anything cool or fight or anything like that. So that's what I began with for this design. And this was my favorite thing to do. I love designing this. I loved how it turned out. For the second one, I wanted to make sure that I focused on practicality. I wanted to make sure that there was no cumbersome parts to her design, and there was no more ribbons, there was no more junk like that. And I also wanted to lean into the sassy part of her personality because she definitely showcased that a lot to me in the show. So I wanted to lean more into that. I wanted to showcase how she's always on her toes in the first rendition of her, and then in the second one she's actually more flat-footed and she's more, at least not on her toes all the time. And I also kind of wanted to incorporate this thing where she has her eyes covered, not just because, the diamonds, the pearls don't really need to be focused on their surroundings that much, and they just need to be following what their diamond says to do and where their diamond says to go, but also the concept of seeing no evil. So basically, I can't see any evil or any wrongdoings that my diamond is doing, so my eyes are covered, and that's what I try to focus on for this. But of course, in her new design, she is able to see the wrongdoing in people and is able to fight for what she actually believes in instead of just following what other people tell her to do. The next design we're going to be doing is Sapphire Ruby, and I'm doing these so that I can segue right into Garnet. And I'm going to throw up the design board that I made on the screen, and I basically combined my ideas for Sapphire and Ruby with my ideas for Garnet. And I basically was trying really hard to showcase a more like sophisticated type of style for Sapphire. I didn't want to have as many like things that were cumbersome on her design, but I still wanted her to showcase a sort of sophistication while also sticking with closer to her original design. But I struggled a lot. I struggled a lot with both of them, but I struggled with Ruby the most, dude. Like, I struggled a lot with trying to figure out how to improve the designs. I thought that I had it down packed. I had some ideas that I had drawn out earlier and was trying to incorporate those, but it was very difficult for me to actually do it. So I just struggled a lot with trying to figure out how to make it look the way that it looked in my head. I basically settled on a slightly different take on her original like aspects that she had in her original design, and I also wanted to incorporate like a hood into her design because, as you can see from the board that I made, I was kind of looking at some kind of fortune teller outfits, and those outfits incorporated a hood, which I thought was really nice to incorporate into her design. For Ruby, I wanted to make it more focused on practicality and like fighting and keeping things skin tight against her body instead of anything that was too puffy or too flowy or anything like that, so she's supposed to be a fighting gem. And I like how the outfit turned out, but her hair was giving me some issues. I wanted to showcase her texture of her hair a little bit easier, kind of how I did with Sapphire, just a little bit. I wanted to have a little bit more puff in her hair, but something was giving me some trouble, dude. Nothing was looking like her that much, so I was going back and forth with a lot of different things, which is the reason why I was struggling with Ruby. And also, of course, incorporating her hands and her gloves that she usually wears. I wanted to showcase that more in her design, and I wanted both of her hands to have gloves on them. So this is what I tried to do, but it just was kind of difficult for me to achieve. So the next one I'm going to be doing here is Garnet, and I'm going to let you guys know right now that this design is way far from Garnet's original design. I think the main thing that I didn't like about Garnet's original design was how much it looked more like Ruby, and it didn't incorporate that many aspects of Sapphire. Of course, in her pre-Crystal Gem era, she had more aspects of both, but then that pretty much disappeared after a certain point, which kind of bothered me a lot, I guess. So I was trying to include more aspects of the two of them instead of basically eliminating one part of them completely. Now, what I ended up doing, of course, was I did pre-Crystal Gem era and then post-Crystal Gem era, and I incorporated both aspects of Sapphire's kind of fortune teller design and kind of like soft, sophisticated attire into Garnet's design, and then also incorporated some of Ruby's toughness, and I wanted to showcase mostly in the body language, again, kind of like how I did with Pearl, where I showcase Garnet's unsureness and Garnet's like, I'm still trying to figure stuff out and I'm still confused by this whole situation type of vibe in her first design. And then in her second design, she is definitely more sure of herself. She's more happy about showing herself off to people, and she's more energetic, she's more strong and, you know, head fast and stuff like that. So that's really what I was trying to show. I don't know how I feel about this design. I like a lot of aspects about it, but the main thing that gave me trouble was the colors. I wanted to properly, I wanted to have better proper colors for this. I wanted to showcase both colors from both gems and things like that. So I was having a lot of issues with the colors, but let me know what you guys think. Let me know like what I could have done better here. So the last piece we have here for today is Amethyst, which was my favorite one to do so far. And I only did one version of her. I just did the version of her that is currently in the Crystal Gems instead of the pre-Crystal Gems version, because one thing that I noticed about her pre-Crystal Gems design is that she more so looked like a doll, and she looked very, double jointed, and she had a lot of like parts of her that just looked very malleable and stuff like that, and there wasn't much to go off of for that design, so I just decided to stick with one design. And one thing that I wanted to make sure that I showcased here was Amethyst's whole thing being that she was born on Earth, so she has a much more tendency to copy what other people do, and that she has a big connection to Earth styles and things like that, as well as having some trouble figuring out her actual identity. So she just takes what she likes the most and incorporates it into her own designs. And I like that a whole lot. So what I wanted to do for this was kind of focus on an early 2000s plus grunge style with her. I don't know if I conveyed that well, but that's what I was mainly trying to do with this, and I had so much fun doing it. It was really easy for me to come up with. At first I didn't know what ideas I wanted to do for Amethyst, since there's not that much for me to go off of for her original design, but I ended up coming up with some things just based off her personality, and it definitely turned out really great. I love this one the most out of all of them. Is the end of today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I had so much fun doing this. It actually didn't take me as long as I thought it was going to take either. So yeah, this was a really fun thing for me to do, and I hope that you guys like revisiting Steven Universe and the Crystal Gems with me today. Let me know if you guys want me to do some more gems. I totally will, if there's enough demand for it, but I have a bunch of other ideas coming up, so I won't focus on it too much unless people really want me to do it. Also, I want to mention that I didn't do Steven because Steven's design was pretty simple, and that's more so the point, is that he's a human. There's not supposed to be any crazy designs with him. I wanted to focus on the beings that were actually extraterrestrials in the show, because I really like the idea of exploring certain concepts when it comes to designing alien characters. But again, that's it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.